Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now let's begin with some political developments. The Independent National Electoral Commission says it is working on new regulations to clarify conflicting interpretations of Section 65 of the Electoral Act 2022, which relates to the review of election results. Chairman of INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, met with resident electoral commissioners earlier today. Senior political reporter Adamawa Lawrence has details.
With the nation gearing up for several by-elections, off-cycle governorship polls, and the 2027 general election, the Independent National Electoral Commission says it's developing supplementary regulations to provide clear guidance for the reviews of declarations and returns during election. Speaking at the Commission's second quarterly meeting with the resident electoral commissioners, Professor Yakub emphasized that regs must take full ownership of their responsibilities, stressing that their duties extend well beyond general elections.
The Commission is concerned with various interpretations given to the provision of Section 65 of the Electoral Act 2022 on the review of election results. Pursuant to our powers to issue regulations, guidelines, and manuals to give effect to the provisions of the Electoral Act and for its administration, the Commission is working on a supplement to the regulations and guidelines for the conduct of elections 2022 to provide clarity on the review of declaration and return at elections.
The INEC chairman also urged the regs to organize conferences and capacity building workshops for their staff to enhance their understanding of new policies and innovations designed to improve electoral service delivery.
You also need to provide us with information on your plans to enhance voter access to polling units by decongesting some of them, or in other areas such as the cleaning up of the voters' register, deepening our engagement with electoral stakeholders at state and local government levels, the management of electoral logistics, and election security. I wish to remind you that elections and electoral activities take place in some states of the Federation, and your role as managers of personnel and resources is critical to success.
The INEC chairman says he expects regs to drive institutional capacity building and ensuring staff are well versed in the commissions involving procedures and reforms. Adamawa Lawrence, TVC News, Abuja.
The Senate has postponed the Northwest Zonal public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution, earlier scheduled to hold this week. This follows the death of elder statesman and prominent industrialist Aminu Dantata. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, says a new date will be decided by key players after the return of the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, Barao Jibril, from Saudi Arabia. The Senate also observed a minute of silence in honor of the business mogul, who lawmakers described as a great Nigerian and a remarkable philanthropist whose impact cut across generations.
In view of the demise of a very prominent philanthropist and stakeholder, led Alhaji Aminu Dantata, whose obsequies is about now in Saudi Arabia. The Senate resolved to observe 1 minute silence in honor of the late Alhaji Aminu Dantata, and also resolved to postpone the Zonal Constitutional Conference of the Northwest to a date to be mutually agreed between the stakeholders of the Northwest as soon as the Deputy Senate President is back from Saudi Arabia.
But his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Now let's take a short break, and when we return, we'll get straight into our first conversation for tonight. Please stay with us.
I'm Nifemi Oguntoye, news anchor with TVC News.
My day is usually busy, and it's difficult keeping up with breaking news stories, trending stories, business news, stock exchange, and what have you. But with TVC News on WhatsApp, I'm able to catch up with all the breaking news, real-time updates, and trending stories on the go, right on my phone, no matter where I am. It's quick, easy, and always on. And here you can join us by scanning the QR code or using the link on our X and Instagram. Why wait? Come to the side of news that keeps you ahead. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Honey, what time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Power, politics, and accountability on fireworks. No seat is too high, no question too hard. If they hold an office, they are on the hot seat. If they have power, they answer to the people and answer the hard questions.
Only strong men lead, not weak men who don't have knowledge, who don't have capacity, who don't have access.
This is not just talk. This is fireworks.
Corruption started corruption in when you cannot send your animal to where they train police officers.
No filters, no favoritism, no fear, no holds barred, unbiased, unafraid, unfiltered.
Why should people elected into office and are being funded by the treasury of the state, and then their salary and allowances will be treated in secrecy?
Fireworks, only on TVC News.
TVC News, first with breaking news.
Welcome back to the program. Tonight, we turn the spotlight on Nigeria's national security, a matter that continues to dominate headlines and test public confidence, from insurgency in the northeast to banditry in the northwest and security challenges in other parts of the country. The Nigerian Army remains at the forefront of our internal security efforts, but are they adequately equipped, well supported, and effectively overseen? Joining us tonight is the Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Army, a key figure in legislative oversight of military affairs, budgeting, and accountability. And we're asking him the tough questions about troop welfare, funding transparency, and the ongoing security operations across the nation. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Right Honorable David Ogeri.
Thank you for having me on the program tonight.
Thank you for joining us. So you co-chair a committee tasked with legislative oversight of the Nigerian Army, including its administration, operations, and budgeting. And I can only guess that you're privileged to be in a position where you easily understand the inner workings of the operations of the Nigerian Army administratively. And you also have information that we ordinary Nigerians do not have. So first, how do you evaluate the current state of Nigeria's defense capabilities?
First, let me give thanks to God Almighty, who has made everything possible to bring us this far as a nation. And I also want to appreciate God for giving us a very good leader who is up and doing to see that the nation moves very well and the nation is secure. In the person of His Excellency, the President of our dear country, Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. He has been on top of his game, just like he has it all planned by telling us that his agenda is a Renew Hope 1. The hope is not gone. The hope is here with us. And then also with the House of Representatives as a member, speaking right there as somebody who also is part and parcel in some of these areas you've already highlighted. I want to put it to you that the Right Honorable Speaker of the 10th Assembly, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, also has taken human security and the properties of lives of this nation as one of the most important things for us to work on. So we've not been sleeping to see that everything goes well. And that's why some of us are privileged to be in this very all-important committee. I want to put it clear to every Nigerian to know that the president from the word go has started very well in the security aspect. He gave us a very competent combined security heads, right from the Chief of Defense Staff to the Chief of Army Staff to all the other service chiefs. They have been working in collaboration, especially to the Army. They have been on top of the game. and I can prove it to you. Yes, in times of operation, they have been there. You can see that before this new administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you can see the rate at which many were kidnapped. They saw a lot of insurgency activities all over parts of the country. But as soon as he take over the mantle of leadership, these things have reduced drastically. For instance, before now, you barely could travel from Abuja to Kaduna, even on a day time. But today, as we speak, with the help and then with the readiness, today you can fly the route from Abuja to Kaduna, even at night, without being kidnapped anymore. This is just one of the clear evidence and many others.
So what specific measures, kindly hold on, Honorable, so what specific measures are you advocating to enhance the effectiveness and efficiency of our security forces?
Already, just like the President and the House of Representatives are committed in doing, is to continue to give them enough adequate fund for them to be able to carry out this necessary operation. And also, we always say that security is everyone's business. Everyone in this country has a role to play in the security aspect. How do we do this? You know, the kinetic measure is there that has to purely be carried out by the armed forces. Then the non-kinetic is there that involve I and you, in fact, doing what we need to do. These measures can help us to achieve and get to more better place that we need to be. So, and then I can also assure you that the President himself has said it to us. If we see what is worth doing regarding this security personnel to be able to carry out their operation adequately, we should not hesitate, which have made us to embark on several oversight functions to go and see things for ourselves. And as soon as we came back, we make our recommendation. And the President did not hesitate. The current budget, 2025, there was a lot of increase in it to make sure that the security agencies are able to meet up with the demand and to curb the current insecurity.
You've talked about improved funding, but beyond the security forces, how would you assess the current national security architecture in the country? Are our structures from intelligence to military deployment effectively designed to deal with today's asymmetric threats? What specific legislative actions is the House Committee on Army taking to improve Nigeria's national security architecture?
Yes, one of these aspects that the House need to, the role they need to play. One of it is, making sure that our oversight functions are carried out properly. When this is done properly, we will know what is lacking, what is needed to be added, and every area that needs to be touched. And that we had not stopped. Of course, security, some of these modus of operandis are not always put in the public domain for everyone to know. Because sometimes when these things are put in public domain, you have the enemies of these security people, working ahead of time. So some of these things are kept secret to make sure that the operations are well successful. So the House is working hand to hand with the security agency, with the armed forces to put everything right. And one of the things I can tell you is to make sure that there is adequate funding, release of funds to get the necessary gadget equipment that is needed to curb some of this insecurity.
All right, so when you say that you're looking forward to a time or a moment where your oversight functions will be carried out properly, what exactly are the challenges? Are we looking at structural reforms and legal reforms or doctrinal shifts in how security is approached?
Before this present dispensation, in the oversight we embarked on as we had the 10th Assembly inaugurated, we saw a lot about decays in some of this infrastructural aspect. And then we also saw, shortage in the manpower. And also we noticed that there is no adequate, funding and welfare for this personnel. We took them up. And the President did not hesitate. He came up with a supplementary budget that you see that has even helped the armed forces to achieve the result that we have now. And he's not still stopping. And we are not stopping every aspect that need legislation just to dot the I and cross the T. We are also working on it to make sure that everything is put in right perspective to have it all good and have it all right.
All right, Honorable. But for governors who have attributed, some of the attacks, whether in the past or recent, to lack of intelligence, and in situations where the Nigerian army had said, "Oh, we didn't get enough intel," how can intelligence gathering and coordination be improved across Nigeria's security agencies? What do you consider as the biggest obstacles to effective inter-agency cooperation in Nigeria's security sector?
Yes, in terms of having a lot of the good intel, just like I earlier mentioned, it is a collaborative effort. This also has to do with all of us, not just the security agencies alone. I can give you, for instance, in my own federal constituency, Ujuabi federal constituency precisely, that we are all Igede speaking tribe. Now, some of these inflows or some of these terrorists, as soon as we resume into the house, one of the things I did first was to make sure I come up with a motion to get a forward operation base approved, which was done. And then I moved immediately, and that was set up in my federal constituency. I had now the conventional security personnel stationed in my own federal constituency. And then what I also did was to bring the locals together and then commit them and told them, look, what I need is for you to make sure you know your neighbor, know who is coming into this community, know his mission or her mission. If you suspect anything that is, that is of not of good to the land, just let us have the information, and immediately we'll pass it to the conventional security, and adequate action will be taken. And this have kept us safe. So this intelligent gathering has to do with sources. It has to do with equipment. And we need some of this equipment to be in place. Just like we're in one of the parliamentary engagement in the United States. And I said to some of their forces, when we met with some of their head of security, and I said to them, we are not here to begin to ask for you to give us fish. We are here to be taught on how to fish and to have a symbiotic living where we share intelligence, where we share ideas, to also be able to put our country where it ought to be security-wise. And they saw that point of view, and they were so happy about it. So we all need this collaboration to have this intelligence. I can tell you that there is a greater synergy more than what you used to have in the last dispensation among the security agencies today. When there is no understanding and this collaboration, there is bound to be failure in operation.
But what we used to hear about before now is this, rivalry or overlapping functions among the military, police, DSS, and paramilitary bodies. Is there any progress? Has there been any progress in eliminating this?
Eliminating, let me get it correctly. What are we eliminating? What do you say should be eliminated?
This rivalry and overlapping functions among the military, police, DSS, and paramilitary bodies.
Yes, that is where we are speaking about that understanding. Today is better. This present government have made it better. I can tell you, like I said, I won't divulge some information that at my disposal because we are speaking to the public. But I can tell you there is a better synergy among them than before. They are sharing information, intelligence. They are collaborating together. They are moving together. As human, sometimes in life, this inferiority complex can cause us a lot of problems. Some see you as a better person to the other. Others see themselves as a superior to the other people. When this comes into place, then there won't be that synergy that is needed. This was what was playing in the past. But right now, they are working together. And you can always see them that whenever Mr. President is calling on them, the National Assembly is calling on them, they give us the information that is needed in synergy. We have had them in the chamber to brief us of 2 occasions.
All right.
Because this 10th assembly is people. Yeah.
All right, that's good to know. Let's talk about funding, which you've repeatedly talked about. Because one, there have been several calls for transparency and accountability in budgetary allocation to the defense sector. While experts say we've not spent enough as a country, some Nigerians have said at this point, it is important that increased budgetary allocation to the security sector is commensurate with the level of achievements out there. Meaning, if we must continue to increase funding for this sector, ordinary Nigerians must be able to sleep with their two eyes closed. So how is the committee monitoring the effective use of appropriated funds for the Nigerian Army?
The House Committee is doing excellently well in that aspect. Now, in one of these oversight, when we came on board, we recommended for more manpower, like I said to you. This year alone, the Army has recruited twice, and another one is coming. Why? Because the size of the personnel is little compared to what we have at hand. That is the truth. And the president have given them go ahead. We need to have this massive recruitment. Now, in recruiting personnel or recruiting people into these armed forces, you don't recruit them without adequate planning. They will be paid. They have things to cater for. So, if their welfare is not well arranged, you don't recruit them. But the president, the 10th Assembly, led by Right Honorable Tajudeen Abbas, have really get ourselves, we've been committed to make sure that we have this manpower that is requested to combat these terrorists.
And apart from...
And this is going as we speak.
Honorable, apart from this annual budget, please land.
Yeah. As we speak, we have people in the training camp as we speak. Now, this is to tell you that they are not sleeping. Okay. My dear sister, I can tell you that what we are fighting, it is not a small thing. It is a war.
Nigeria, we all know, Honorable. But apart from this annual budget, let me also ask you about support funding system, like the Armed Forces Support Trust Fund, which, according to reports, is a dedicated funding stream outside of the annual budget, which should focus on specialized training and modern equipment for the military. Okay, can you give us an update on the implementation of that trust bill? What is the current status of the implementation of the Armed Forces Support Trust Fund Act? Has Mr. President officially assented to the bill?
At the moment, they are working very adequately on it to make sure that they perfect everything in it, like I mentioned earlier, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But let me speak to it a little.
Okay.
These issues, sometimes we tend to be very maximizing in some of what we say about them because we don't want those people who have made themselves or named themselves as enemy to this country, Nigeria, to have some of these things in details in order not to begin to walk ahead of us.
Okay.
Like I always said to some of our people, that it is not cheap to buy some of these equipments, some of these gadgets. They are not cheap. Even bringing people to have this training, just like you've mentioned, they are not cheap. Let me give you, for instance, while we were on oversight, in one of the engineering school of the Army, I won't mention the location for security reasons. When we got there, we saw the kind of talent we have, the knowledge they acquire, they built on it, and what they were able to produce was amazing. And I was asking myself, why can't we continue to make ourselves producers than being consumers all the time? Running out to get this, running out to get that. Now, this kind of fund is meant to support this kind of individuals, for us to be really independent. And that is what Mr. President is fighting. And that's why, to deviate a little, that's why you see he brought about this reform tax bill. Now, we need to make sacrifice to build our own nation, not keep on borrowing borrowing without knowing the end. But when we make sacrifice as a people, and then we are able to begin to get to that level of production in that massive manner, we begin to get balance. And then we become a country that we all desire.
Right. But Honorable, is there a projected date for presidential sense or expected enactment? What are the main hurdles? Legal, administrative, or political? What exactly is happening?
Well, like I said, I won't make conclusion on that. But as time progresses, you see how we're going to land it, and all will turn out for the good of the country.
All right. Honorable, let's take a break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation. Please stay with us, everyone.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
This is Politics Tonight. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for staying with us on the program. Tonight, we're focused on national security, and Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Army, Honorable David Ogeri, is my guest as we explore the happenings in within his committee, legislative oversight of military affairs, budgeting and accountability. Thank you very much for staying with us, Honorable. So let's go back to the welfare of these officers. What's been done to improve the welfare, training and motivation of Nigerian soldiers on the front lines?
By the grace of God, like I mentioned earlier, the welfare has really been improved. I'm not going to state the figures for security reasons, but it has highly been improved from what it used to be. And you can attest to that even by some of the testimony, what used to be that complaint before, oh, this is a little amount we are receiving and all of that. Right now, it's no longer there like before. It has been well improved because as soon as we lay some of these reports before the speaker took it up also and presented it to Mr. President, and then the President, without waste of any time, agreed and then approved that this should be looked into and then increase should be made. And today, it is better than before. If you go to some of the barracks today, you will see a lot of new infrastructural development there, construction of several resident areas for them, and all of that have been ongoing massively in some of those areas. And they are not stopping. More are still being constructed. This was what was not there before. If I tell you one of the experience I saw in one of the barracks when we had an oversight as soon as we take over, you will discover that the house was already shattered, and then a family of a personnel that is at the war front is staying in that place. When it rains on them. The louver windows went. In fact, it was a terrible situation. But as soon as this report were terrible, the late Chief of Army Staff may his gentle soul rest in peace, he didn't hesitate. He started mounting, all kind of, sourcing of funds here and there, making sure that President see to this, and President was very happy. They started putting this in place. And many of those soldiers and the personnel in general are happy today. That's why I kept saying we can't thank Mr. President enough. And let me also let you know that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has also done very well in terms of releasing security votes to the state governors. They are there to attest to it. And by the grace and mercies of God, if we continue to do this best that is required of us for our dear country, Nigeria, we will get to that best place we ought to be and be better than some of this Western world we tend to run to sort for one help or the other.
So, Honorable, how transparent is the procurement process for arms and equipment in the Army?
It is highly transparent. Of course, before you will get to the level of even being given an award of some of these things, you must be tested, be trusted, and of course, know the importance of what you are about to do. Without this, Army will not allow you to have any of this to be done. So we saw a very good transparent work. Of course, if not for being a security discussion, I would have been able to open up to tell you some of those things that have been there. But I will not display some of those stages you need to pass through, to be able to carry out some of these contracts. And they are not hiding it. They will spell it. Can you do it? Because you are dealing with the welfare and the well-being of this personnel whom have dedicated their lives to the sacrifice of our dear nation, Nigeria.
But this is still about national security, but let me deviate a bit. I'm wondering, what role does community policing play in a more effective national security architecture? And why has state policing remained a contentious issue despite persistent calls for decentralization?
Well, it's a very strong topic. From my opinion, I will take this dimension so that we could understand. State police is not bad. Why is it not bad? Because when you deal with state police, you are bringing people who know those regions. I can tell you for free that no one can come to your own house and operate successfully without an insider. So when you have these state police who are more or are supposed to be locals, they know the terrain. They know who is who. They know each other. And that will have helped us, a long way. But this is the problem I see as a person. You have today some political wings or political big wings who will want to use them against their perceived enemy or political enemies. At this point, anything can happen. It can be abused. So this is where the National Assembly, I feel, as people will look into very well to make the law in a way that it will affect no one. It will not be abused. We have seen some example in some of these countries we've traveled to that the power is not totally relinquished to the state, but has some submission, to the federal. If such thing can be put in place, it can be checkmate. It's just as we as lawmakers, if today we are made to be everything, I can assure you that some of our colleagues can abuse that power. But we still have people who checkmate us, who call us to order. You are not doing your job. You are not legislating well. You are not doing your oversight well. And then we wake up to it. So this is some of the parameters we are trying to look at as lawmakers and then to table before the leadership and to see how this can come to fruition. As for us in the House of Representatives, I can tell you that the Right Honorable Speaker we have Right Honorable Tajudeen Abbas, PhD, is someone who is masses oriented. He wants the well-being for the well-being of the people. So anything that has to do with the enhancement of the people, he's in, just all like right. Mr. President. So if we can tidy up this, President, of course, we are sent to it without delay.
All right, Honorable, before I let you go, you know, with talks of military reform gaining traction, what is the National Assembly's role in shaping the future structure of the Army?
Already, some of these reforms are taking shape already. They are taking places. All right. Taking place. We have, by the grace of God, initiate one or two reforms that is before us. We not disclose in details. We are working to see that the Army itself have some other additional modus of operandis that will help them to take precise decisions at some point when emergency arises. All right. And we are working hand to hand to make sure that the gun does not lose its target. So for now, it's still remaining with us. Those reforms, we are still working on them. And by the grace of God, when it is carried out and well, spelled out and articulated, it will be laid and then it will be passed.
All right then, Honorable David Ogewi, Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Army. Thank you so much for your time tonight on Politics Tonight, and I look forward to more conversations with you. Thank you so much. Please have a great evening.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's go on a short break, and when we return, we'll turn our attention to developments in the PDP. Please stay with us.
Voted as the best TV station of the year. TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen. Following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective. Covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking. There is always more to a story than the screaming headline. The part of a story that is not told casts a shadow. It's like the part of an object that is not reached by light. On TVC News, I'm able to explore the many angles there are to a story, talking to stakeholders, asking the difficult questions, and digging for facts. I believe the viewers are able to make a better decision if they're well informed and understand not just a part, but the complete story. TVC News, first.
Shehu Oyibo, an entrepreneur and a business coach.
I am the voice of an average Muslim woman, an hijabite, and a lawyer.
I am a polymath and a serial entrepreneur.
I am Murayo Afolabi Brown, Managing Director, TVC Entertainment. I'm a media consultant, producer, and broadcaster.
The ladies of your view are made of women from different professions, tribes, cultures, and religion. Join us every Monday to Friday as we share our views on topical and social issues.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia, January 15, 1929. The son of a Baptist minister, King received a doctorate degree in theology and in 1955 helped organize the first major protest of the African American civil rights movement, the successful Montgomery.
Welcome back. Tonight we turn our attention to the deepening cracks within the People's Democratic Party in the Southeast. Stakeholders from the region have rejected Senator Samuel Anyanwu as the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. Now, while it is still unclear as to the reasons for this new position, it raises questions about the region's representation and the PDP's preparedness ahead of 2027. The question on the minds of so many is, what is really behind this sudden rejection? Power play, poor performance, or a shift in political alliances? Well, joining us tonight to unpack this is a political affairs analyst, Ziggy Aide. Good evening to you, Mr. Aide. Thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yesterday was a redefining moment for the PDP. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. But unfortunately, they couldn't make good their names.
How?
Once more. You don't lump... You don't bring upon people what is not right for them, okay? And I don't know why PDP refused to adhere to certain agreements by the party leadership. And they are not tired of these perennial issues, always, you know.
Was there any agreement anywhere?
Agreement was that when Anyanwu was leaving, then somebody else was voted in. Okay? Sunday Day was voted in, and Anyanwu...
Was he voted in or appointed?
Appointed. The party accepted him to be there. It was ratified
Thinking
and
that
endorsed.
Anyanwu was going to win that.
Not thinking. Anyanwu left his position. You can't eat your cake and just have it back. Anyanwu left his position. Okay? And there was no agreement for someone to hold the position for him.
And also at the same time, it was not constitutionally binding.
Good.
That when he leaves, he cannot come back.
He can't come back. So the issue remains that when you leave that office, you leave for good. So coming back,
but nothing in the constitution of the PDP indicates that. That's what I'm saying. Nothing in the PDP constitution indicates that when he leaves for good.
That is just the headache. But the issue is that Anyanwu left that position, he wasn't promised coming back to take over that position from whoever that was appointed. Okay? You can't just eat your cake and still have it. Now, going to court is PDP ways of trying to settle their cases here and there. And I'm happy the court had told them that, look, this is an internal affair. Settle it yourself.
And they've settled it.
And settling it means they want to continue in their problems. Not just creating more problems to settle one. Okay. You understand?
So what message does this?
The issue is this. When the caucus of the party met, it was agreed that these people, Ude, will continue that job.
Sunday Ude Okoye
will continue that job. For a PDP group again, or national body, to come back and reinstate Anyanwu was a slight on the people who appointed him. The caucus appointed Sunday Ude, okay? Caucus from the southeast appointed Sunday Ude, okay? That is still ignoring the voices of the people from the south.
From the southeast.
And that's why they are aggrieved. Who wouldn't be aggrieved?
So what message does this send to other party members who may have concerns about internal democracy and accountability? Does this reinstatement signal that national leadership is once again, or like it has always done, assert control over regional
What I made
factions?
out of this is that PDP doesn't know how to solve its problems. They don't know how to put their house together. They keep raising more problems to solve one problem. And that's exactly what has been happening in PDP. If you watch their perennial issues, it has been creating more problems to solve one.
You don't think regional issues are easy to manage than when you compare it to national issues?
It could be managed if you have those who have leadership prowess. I should believe that all those who are at the helm of affairs in PDP don't have the prowess to manage little problems. Because when you are trying to manage little and you're creating a greater one, you've not succeeded. And that's exactly what happened. And that's why the Southeast is taking a position now that if our voices, if our agreement is not adhered to, then we might decide to leave you people alone.
To leave the PDP?
Yes, and of course, Southeast has not gained anything
just
from
like,
PDP.
The
from
other
inception.
governors have left. Does that solve the solution? Does that solve the problem?
Yes, that will solve. If I should participate in a particular crisis, thinking I've solved it, and you are coming to create more, what do you want me to do? I should stay with the problem? I should leave. And Southeast is at the center, is at the center of PDP. Because if at this point, Mba, who was a part of these caucus members, is being disaggrieved, what do you think will happen? They've lost the Southeast. You remember Southeast in the past was PDP originated. And now we have only one person. That means PDP is just having just a leg in Southeast. So if that leg eventually moves out of it as we speak, Mba is very, very aggrieved. And he categorically said it yesterday that if their positions earlier was not ratified, was not agreed to, then he had no choice but to take a walk. And that means PDP will eventually not have any government.
So help us with the issues. What exactly are the issues? What are the underlying resistance to, or reasons behind this resistance to Anyanwu's continuation as National Secretary?
Anyanwu is playing the dance of certain drummers, some drummers. Okay? And the way it looks like,
Who are the drummers?
I wouldn't know, but the drummers hovers around the leadership of PDP, the upper leadership. And if these people did not come down on their high horses to actually agree on the earlier arrangement made by Southeast Caucus, they might as well lose the party membership in the Southeast. So Anyanwu already had left the party for another position.
Is that the only issue?
They have myriad of issues, but we are talking about one.
Which
PDP,
is?
That's why I say they are trying to solve one issue and create more troubles. It is the same issue that alluded to other parties, that other governors that had left. Remember, originally Delta was PDP. Same thing with Eno State, which is a Kaibom. Now all of them had left, alluding to the fact that they cannot stay in a troubled party. And this
so
trouble,
you believe the PDP is still troubled?
Yes, this trouble is still training this party, and the leadership at the upper level are not really thinking the trouble they are bringing upon themselves. Certain members or certain leaders had come together, Governor's Quorum had come together and said, okay, we are going to endorse this social person because this guy has left. Not really left the party, but he went to contest for a higher position.
Sadly, we have to go, but I'm sure we'll continue this conversation later. But what does this say about the balance of power between the national leadership of the PDP and regional blocs, especially from the Southeast?
From the goings, you should know that there's no balance of powers. Anybody can just come and lord anyone on anybody, on everybody.
But what we saw yesterday, nobody was lording over anyone.
Anyanwu was
governors.
Anyanwu was
there were PDP governors in that meeting.
Yeah, but Anyanwu was eventually lord on the people. Oh, yes.
Perhaps that will stabilize the party.
That's in their thinking, but it's creating more troubles. That was in their thinking, but it's creating more trouble. And the way it is, I should advise PDP leadership that if Southeast Caucus meeting, which ratified Sunday, is not followed or not agreed to, then the Southeast membership of the leader of the party might as well leave. Just Mba is threatening. And if the party leaves, that will be very good for...
If Governor Mba leaves, what impact would that have on the structure of the PDP? Or
they are losing membership.
Of the PDP?
They are losing membership, losing their votes, losing everything. Of course, the party, the Southeast membership for the party had never gained anything. For how many years PDP had lorded over the Southeast regions? We've never got anything from the party. none of the advice that we are given by the people are adhered to, because Southeast is not being taken serious. Then, if I advise you, seeing the position seeing the part you are doing, and that part I know will not give rise to what you are saying, and I advise, and if you rejected my advice, what should I do? I should not stay put there. I should leave. But we are saying that since the return of democracy to the Southeast, the national leadership of the party in the Southeast region have not actually got anything, have not actually got into the mainstream of the
we need to continue
politics.
this conversation some other time, but sadly we're out of time. But for the PDP, there is a second INEC meeting and there is a convention in August. So we'll see how all of these ends.
Well,
thank you.
I wouldn't suggest for them, but I advise that they should do the part of agreement.
All right then. Thank you so much, Ziggy Ibe, political affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your perspective.
Thank you
program.
for having
Thank you so
me.
much.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching, everyone. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. You're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News NG. I am Olajumoke Olatuji. Good night, everyone.
In a world where news never sleeps, we're taking a giant leap into the future. We at TVC Communications are proud to introduce a new era in news broadcasting. But first, let me introduce my special friend, Olamide AI. Hi, Olamide Human. Is it time to come out yet? Yes, indeed it is. And you can bring your friends along. Meet our new AI anchors, speaking your language and sharing your stories. From English, good day. These are the news headlines to Pidgin.
Better country people, on a good evening.
Yoruba, Ekaro, Ekodede Asikoyi, Shidadalabayi, Igbo,
Ndewo, Auto Innovation, Ahambu Obada Samson Ejiro,
and Hausa.
Mutane na sanar da zuwa, sunana Raki Abdulkarim kuma kana kallon TVC News.
We are bringing the news closer to you. Faster, smarter, and always reliable. And together, we are shaping the future of news for every Nigerian, everywhere. Innovation, connection, and trust. The future of news is here.
TVC News, first with breaking news. And now first in Nigeria with AI news anchors.
Power, politics, and accountability on fireworks. No seat is too high, no question too hard. If they hold an office, they are on the hot seat. If they have power, they answer to the people and answer the hard questions.
Only strong men lead, not weak men who don't have knowledge, who don't have capacity, who don't have access.
This is not just talk. This is fireworks.
Corruption in when you cannot send your animal to where they train police officers.
No filter, no favoritism, no fear. No holds barred. Unbiased, unafraid, unfiltered.
Why should people elected into office and are being funded by the treasury of the state, and then their salary and allowances will be treated in secrecy?
Fireworks, only on TVC News.
TVC News, first with breaking news.
From the beeping mainframes of the 1960s to the smartphone in your pocket, and now machines that can think, learn, and speak like us. This is Techni Fire. Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Aruwa Joy. On this show, we connect the dots between the past, present, and the future of technology. We revisit the genius of yesterday's breakthroughs, the microchip, the internet, and the first robot arm. And we dive into tomorrow, AI, that can create art, machines that can heal the body, and tech that's reshaping how we live and work. Every week, we explore where we have been, where we are, and where we are going. This isn't about gadgets. It's about the people, the possibilities, and the power of imagination. Welcome to the conversation. Welcome to the future. Welcome to Techni Fire.
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News. First with breaking news.
This week on Green Angle, we take you inside Okwaba Abattoir in Agege, one of Lagos's largest meat processing hubs, recently shut down over environmental and safety concerns. The closure sparked questions about hygiene and sanitation and the fate of those who depend on it. We'll hear from the butchers, state government officials and environmental advocates calling for change. Welcome. I am Esther Mokwariola.
Nigeria has embarked on the world's largest clean cooking initiative with the formal launch of the 80 million Clean Cook Stoves project. Rollout began in the heart of Makoko, Lagos, as part of 60th birthday of the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, symbolizing government's commitment to environmental sustainability, public health and social inclusion. Special advisor to the Lagos governor on climate change and circular economy, Mrs. Titilayo Oshodi, says the project places Nigeria at the forefront of compliance carbon markets under the UNFCCC's Article 64ER framework. The initiative is designed to reduce reliance on firewood and traditional biomass fuels by over 90%, targeting women, low-income families and underserved communities.
Honored and privileged because amongst the 8 million communities and households that have been designated to enjoy the benefits of this Clean Cook Stove, Makoko stands to be the anchor. Makoko stands to be the very first to taste this new trajectory of clean energy that addresses health degradation, that helps to boost the morale, the economic propensity, and also the ability, to enjoy a fresh, sustainable environment by virtue of the modeling of this Clean Cook Stove.
The idea even is anybody who gets it free of charge will get also 50 seedlings to plant, long-term trees, commercial trees. And these seedlings also don't belong to anybody, it belongs to them. It's a commercial tree, mangoes or whatever, all these fruits. So the only thing is they have to look for it, look after it. When it grows, it's theirs, but they have to look after it. So you see, so it will also help afforestation. You see, not only not using the wood anymore, but we are afforesting, especially in the northern areas. There are no trees anymore. If they are doing that, it helps a lot to reduce the climate change. So United Nations pays for every ton of this in. So it's not being sold.
In a bid to cushion the impact of climate change on agriculture, the Kwara state government is training livestock officers and agricultural stakeholders on climate-smart practices and early warning systems. The 5-day training under the L-Press project is empowering 100 participants with skills to interpret weather data and manage climate risks, especially in livestock production. Experts say this initiative will help smallholder farmers plan better, reduce losses, and maintain food production.
We're going to train them on smart agriculture, and we're also going to train them on how to use the weather stations, the automated weather stations that we now have in the state. We currently have 3, one in each senatorial district, and the weather stations will give us helpful information, early warnings that can help us with our feed production, as well as proper animal husbandry.
Through SMS, you can subscribe for the weather forecast in the state. So every morning you see what's going to happen. You can have a 5-day forecast and plan ahead. So you know what's going to happen, high temperature, it's going to rain at 4 o'clock, you'll know. So that's the second phase I'm working on.
The participants will be put through how to even read climate data and what to do with the climate data. And also, the climate data will not also be only read, they can also disseminate it to their neighbors, their neighboring farmers in the community as well.
With the rains intensifying and the risk of waterborne diseases on the rise, the Lagos state government is stepping up efforts to prevent another wave of cholera infections.